Hey everyone, it's halftime, so we wanted to give you an update before our Fox 24 news at 9. My name is Dan Scoff. I know you might not remember me.
Yeah, who's this guy?
Yeah, who is this guy that's over here? Well, after a nice vacation, and thanks to Peyton and Josh and Zach for holding down the fort, we don't have a lot of time. We got a lot to get through. My goodness, this is an active weather pattern. First of all, we're seeing the dry slot right now. This is what we were talking about before Peyton, is that dry air coming in the southwest with this big, huge low pressure system cutting off the precipitation. So people are probably thinking, that's it. We're done.
Good.
Yeah.
Nah.
No, not so much, because we've got the wraparound. In fact, look at the surface map. It is an absolute mess here, as you'll see. Satellite and radar showing a giant surface low to the west of us, severe weather potential to the south. That hasn't materialized as of yet for Louisiana and Alabama. That could change overnight tonight. We'll be watching that. It looks like it's more linear, if anything.
Yeah, they've had severe weather, but no tornado threat just yet.
All right, so let's dive into this. We're going to get into some comments, and this is a very tricky weather pattern. Alex said, why do I get the notion that the storm could unleash a ton of snow or next to none? I wouldn't say a ton of snow, but it could overperform. It very well could be more than expected. But at the same time, if the dry slot, sticks around, that wraparound doesn't materialize as much, we could be looking at all that stuff. Josh Rugger on here. Top 10 songs I requested the club.
For real.
The live music. It's actually someone's music. Got to give credit where credit's due. And I'm sure I'll get an email about it. So thanks for letting us borrow your music. We love it. How about this? Saw 61 mile per hour winds in Gentry this morning. That's right. XNA reported at Northwest Arkansas National Airport some really, really strong winds. Yeah, it was up there for sure. All right, so Shelby says, I want some snow. So let's dive into this. We don't want to waste a whole bunch of time kind of chatting about a bunch of – we'll have other time to do that after the 10 o'clock. We'll do another Facebook Live where we can geek out. We can look at some ensembles and stuff like that. But let's get to this as we look at this weather system. So first of all, you can see the cold front, warm front, occluded front, all that stuff off to the west, the severe weather to the south. Now, if we look at the Texas Panhandle, this is that wraparound that's going to develop. And the precipitation is developing in Kansas, but notice how it's kind of drying out in the Oklahoma and Texas Panhandle. And it's like, uh-oh. Well, Peyton, you brought up a good point. There's some dry air in that area.
Yeah, there is a lot drier air compared to what's over us. We got a whole lot of rain today, so there's a whole lot of moisture in the air. And that could mean the difference in the total snowfall amounts, whether it overdue or underdue, according to models.
I'm thinking about a half inch to an inch and a half looks pretty possible. Not only that, but it's going to be a different system than what we saw Friday. Friday was more warm air advection precipitation that caused what's called dynamic cooling due to evaporative cooling, and that led to temperatures dropping a lot more than expected with that dry air and the low levels. Now we're getting this flow out of the southwest right now. That is the dry slot. And then you look at the wraparound snow Tuesday morning. That's what's coming into our area that could bring us some winter weather potential. Now, there's blizzard warnings to the northwest and west of us, and there's no doubt that has come to fruition. There's been some really strong winds. But there's the winter weather advisory that is for us. If you're wondering about timing, we're talking around 6 a.m. We'll get through the timing. We'll look at the future track radar and all that stuff. But from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. is how long the winter weather advisory goes for. I think this is right on the money. I think the Weather Service has that pegged pretty well. So you're going to notice here that the future track model shows this precipitation developing. By the way, I forgot to mention this too. There was some thunder snow in south central Kansas, right when you were doing the 7, as a matter of fact. And that's exactly where it's going to be, on the nose of the dry punch. And Alex, the reason I bring that up is because Alex said, have you noticed the high-res models trying to sneak in instability tomorrow morning?
Yeah, just a little bit, trying to sneak in there. Saw some evidence of a little bit of instability today, around Little Rock, Russellville area. But a little bit.
My only thing with that, Alex, is that that's going to be that warm conveyor belt, cold conveyor belt precipitation. I don't think that's where our snow comes from. I think it's purely wraparound for us. Now, I could be wrong, and the instability might bring some perhaps some thunderstorms in the central Arkansas area. We'll look at the water vapor here in a little bit. That's going to be interesting. But now let's get to the timing of this. So this is the latest HRRR. 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, we'll start to see precipitation. See those temperatures, 36, 37? We are going to get that drier air because of the dry slot. It's going to be more in the mid levels of the atmosphere. Like you said, it's pretty humid. It's pretty moist in the low levels of the atmosphere. But then this wraparound starts to develop. Now, the problem is that, and believe me, I feel your pain because I had to take my son to school on Friday. I was on halfway there when I saw a bunch of cars that were sliding off the roads. I saw the school bus that was having trouble. Because let's face it, the primary roads, they were okay.
Right.
They were fine. Crossover wasn't a problem. Now, the secondary roads were a different story. That was a much different story, and especially when the precipitation came down heavier. So there's 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Now you can see lasting all the way through the late morning. Now, the difference is on Friday, we had a southwest wind. That southwest wind helped warm us up. Mm-hmm. Now we're going to get what's called cold air advection with a northwest wind, and it's going to be pretty stout. It's going to be pretty hard. Not only that, strong winds, but there's also going to be the potential for, I think, some blowing snow.
Yeah, definitely going to see a lot stronger winds with this.
Which could reduce visibility. And so that could be an issue with how much, basically impacts are concerned for snow. So blowing snow accumulation. This isn't a major winter system. It's just not, because we get the wraparound. Yes, it could overproduce. If it does, it would be 3 inches would be overproducing, in my opinion. But let's take a look at some of the forecast totals, and then we'll bring up our accumulation map. And so here's a look at what we've got from the HRRR model. And I got to say this, and Peyton, you can agree. I'll tell you this, that the HRRR did pretty good on Friday.
Yeah. Give credit where credit's due. It did do pretty well.
Now you're smirking because what's the reason for the grin? Yeah, a little bit of a grin, like whoops.
It was the only outlier in the snow totals last time. Yeah, it was right on the money.
Sometimes the hey, what do they say? Every blind squirrel finds a nut. Yeah, finds a nut. And so I will say this: that the squirrels have been gathering up those nuts and what do you say, acorns or acorns?
No, acorns.
Yeah,
I think that's
acorns.
an older person thing.
Yeah, acorns.
Or it's a real southern thing.
So it could be a real southern thing, but they've been gathering up their supply, and I've been seeing them before the holidays. They were all over the place. They knew something was brewing. So let's get back to this timing. So there's the snowfall totals. I think this has a really good handle on it. There could be some spots over 1.5 inches, but this seems very reasonable to me, especially with that wraparound. Notice the snow heavier in southeast Kansas. They're not going to have to deal with the wraparound only. They get more of that thunder snow potential.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So there's a look at a zoomed in view. And, you see a 1/2 inch, an inch. It doesn't sound like much, right? But that could cause issues on the roads.
Especially if it's blowing with that reduced visibility.
Yep, exactly. So there, and on top of that, this will be another wet snow. Again, this will be a wet snow, not super dry. Now, it will start drying out towards the end just because it will be colder aloft. But there's a look at the timing. So if you're wondering about timing, we're looking around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning for the onset of the precipitation. But it does drop off pretty quick with that wraparound clearing out. So that's what we're seeing with that system. Let's look at our snow total forecast. This is our graphic, and Peyton and I kind of adjusted this. And so we'll take a look. Here's what we've got. And you can't really show localized areas who's going to pick up 1.5. You just kind of give a general trend. I think we're underdoing southeast Kansas. Keep in mind, we're only kind of forecasting for our area.
That's a big thing is we're mainly talking about our coverage area, not necessarily Tulsa or Springfield. But
so honestly, we could probably maybe.
I know we need to do an earth layer.
Yeah, we probably need to crop that out, don't we? Mm-hmm. And create a mask, if you will. So, but anyways, that's what we're looking at there. We zoom in on Northwest Arkansas, and you can see generally about an inch to 1.5 inches. The River Valley will see snow, but it'll just be a lot less. Of course, higher elevations. I do think the wraparound makes it all the way into LaFleur County, Scott County, Logan County. Higher elevations, of course, will pick up more. So that's what we're looking at. If there's going to be any type of school closings, it's got to come down really heavy in the morning hours before 7 a.m. I don't see that happening. So there's going to be potentially what we call an early release or a late start. Early release is a stretch. Delayed start. That's what I think is going to happen. So let's get back to some of the comments here. We got a bunch of comments. So I do want to show the water vapor, and we're going to take a look at where that dry punch is.
I also made a HER precipitable water future track too.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It's a weird color scale, but it shows the moisture.
Okay, nice. So this is what we've got here with the HRRR. This is actual water vapor.
Yeah.
So I'm going to slow this down. I'm going to show you the more high resolution one. So first of all, this is a beast of a system. Here's the spin in the atmosphere. Here's the colder air that's wrapping around. You can see on water vapor, there is some wraparound precipitation. No doubt the system is evolving. Looks like maybe another low is developing. This is a kind of a meso low.
Yeah.
And then that could enhance precipitation and develop the wraparound even more. So there's all these small scale features that can happen. If you're noticing here that right on the nose, this is where the thunder snow was. And that's exactly where it's going to be, in the convective area. And if you see this low tracking to the northeast, I would be hard pressed to say that we'll see thunder snow tomorrow. If we do, I'd be very surprised, unless this low right here ends up developing. But it's right at the nose of that dry punch where you get the thunder snow potential.
Yeah, and the track looks like it's starting to go a little more eastward now instead of southeast. So,
we can show the lightning there. Perfect. Check this out. There it is, right there. See it?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
It was right there, right at the nose of the dry punch, where the strongest lift is. That's where the convective activity was, and that's all snow. So if we go to, there's the water vapor. You can see that. That's cool, huh?
Yeah.
Right at the nose of that dry punch, which is exactly where it's going to be. And then you look at this, and you can tell that that was all right there developing. It shows that it was precipitation, but actually was snow because it was reported as snow. And you can see how close that was too.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
cool.
And then it quickly developed. But that's where it would be, right at the nose of the dry punch. So going back to that water vapor, it's going to be tough to get that. All right, let's look at some more questions here. The winds were strong enough in Lowell to move my boat sitting in my driveway. You know, we didn't actually mention how strong the winds were. We covered that, in the shows, obviously. Josh Rugger covered that in the morning with his Facebook Live. But, man, look at some of these gusts. These gusts were intense. So we've got 61-mile-an-hour winds at XNA. Bentonville, I don't know what was going on there. I think it was a little stronger than that. It's just, these are, by the way, as Peyton mentioned and alluded to and brought to my attention, these are the hourly obs.
Yeah, these are hourly obs. But if you go to the, 3 or 5 minute observations, Fayetteville actually, or Drake Field, reported a wind gust of 51. So definitely, it could be some minor differences, but still,
regardless,
regardless,
very strong. I mean, these are severe thunderstorm squall line type winds, and you're having them from non-thunderstorm wind events.
The beast of a system.
And not only that, but high wind warnings, as we mentioned and showed earlier, are very rare. They don't happen very often in Northwest Arkansas.
5 times.
Yeah,
2005.
Since 2005. That's pretty rare. Here's a look at 54 in Harrison for the wind gusts. So that's pretty strong there. Only 4 away from severe weather criteria. Fort Smith didn't see it as bad, and there's a reason for that. It's just not close enough to the pressure gradient. The low was a little bit closer to Northwest Arkansas. Also, too, this is a really important point. There was downward translation of those showers, which transported the low-level jet winds down to the surface, which is what brought those strong wind gusts. So if we go back to that radar and we look at it from this morning, you're going to see more precipitation in Northwest Arkansas than in the River Valley. And that's what allowed that downward translation of the precipitation. So here's a look at those winds. There you see it right there. Look at that. stronger precipitation, transporting the winds in the low levels of the atmosphere down to the surface because we were saturated, so it wasn't hard for that to happen.
Right.
So that's like kind of like a coupling of the low level jet with the precipitation. So that's another thing that brought the strong winds along with the pressure gradient. But pretty impressive stuff there. All right, back to some comments here. Let it all dry out. Chris, you're not going to have any good tower climbing days for a while. Let's just say that. We missed our opportunity last month, and boy, it was such a beautiful climbing day. There will be others, but man, not for a while. That is for sure. And I'm going to show you the reason why. We've got a very active weather pattern ahead. We're going to get to that. We're going to take a look at all that stuff. So let it all dry out. Here's a look at the very active weather pattern. We'll take our camera off the screen. And so, first of all, we got a system that's starting to come into the Pacific Northwest. We got a tailing dip in the jet stream right here. This is what brings the system on Friday. Then we got the other system behind that. Who knows where Monday's system is? It's so far out. But here's a look at how it's not going to just dry out. There's a look at the dip in the jet stream, what we call a long wave trough, another impressive system. There's a look at another trough. These are long wave troughs right here. And when you're talking about as cold as it's going to get, we could see some major issues. So here is the system for the end of the week. I haven't even talked about this on TV tonight because all we've had is all these systems with tonight, the wind, this morning, and then the winter weather potential for tomorrow. But here's a look at, once again, another system that will be organizing on top of us, making it another tricky forecast with wraparound precipitation that develops as the system's coming through. That is favorable for winter weather. That's not favorable for a major winter storm.
Right.
However, after that system moves out, you're going to see this cold air plunge in. And I think we're going to have some issues next week.
Yeah.
Big time issues.
Next Sunday, Monday, and beyond that.
So this is a long ways out. Josh and I were looking at ensemble models this morning. You were looking at them this afternoon. They all agree that there's a system coming in. They all vary on totals, but I got to say this is a favorable weather pattern. You got the Arctic air surging south of 1043 high, surface high, which is way up there. And oh boy, that's a lot of precipitation. Now, I'm not going to show you the totals out of this, but you can see the trends. And this time, instead of just a little system that's organizing, we get a massive swath of precipitation. I had a call from a neighbor saying, should I drive on Monday? And I said, absolutely not. If you can, fly. That's what they're going to be doing. Driving on Monday is going to be a nightmare because this precipitation will actually start on Sunday night.
I hope I'm back by then.
You're driving Monday, huh?
Well, I'm driving Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Monday.
So there you go. Monday is going to be tough to get back. But there's a look at the system that comes through Sunday night. Monday night, it's gone. But there could be additional pieces of energy moving in that high resolution models will depict better than, global models. So
yeah, we've seen hints at ensembles of little pieces of embedded energy that are going to potentially make things a lot worse.
Yeah. Let's zip through here. A lot of comments. So Brendan says crazy surface map. It is for sure. We talked about the instability. Not really too worried about this system tomorrow, Wednesday. Wednesday, there's no system at all. It's long gone by Wednesday. In fact, it's going to be sunny Wednesday, beautiful. But probably some high clouds, unexpected high clouds. Be looking for that halo around the sun. Next weekend and early next week, temps are going to be extremely cold. And I got to show you that. Well, Stephanie, I don't have any say in whether they close school. I do give advice, but I don't have any say in what happens.
Ultimately, the decision's up to
them. He says live stream countdown was epic.
Yeah.
All right. So much needed rain. We did get that. Do you think the roads will freeze? So tomorrow there's going to be some slushy roads. It's going to be cold enough where it sticks for a little bit, but it will melt. And by tomorrow night, by the time it gets really cold, I think we're going to dry out. Precipitation is going to move out by 3. So got to hit the hay for tonight. We'll watch the replay. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate it. Let's see here. A lot of dry air in western Oklahoma. We're going to get to that. Let's take a look at that. There is a lot of dry air in western Oklahoma. However, you can also see, Jeremy, that the precipitation is wrapping around, and that's a textbook dry slot.
Yeah.
And look at this too. We didn't discount the rain overnight tonight. And you can actually see some stuff starting to pop up ahead of the other dry slot. So that's probably a little more convective in nature. And there you go. You can see it developing. Now that's probably going to miss us a little bit, Jeremy, but it gives you an idea. Thank you so much, Shayla. I appreciate it. And thanks to the weather team for really holding down the fort. I know they did a great job. Peyton wrote some great weather blogs, and we'll have another one out too through this week to let you know. I know, Amanda. That's going to be the issue, though. Problem is that it's going to be a timing thing. It might not move in until 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, which is the toughest call for school officials.
100%.
Thank goodness for the rain. Definitely needed the rain down there. Wish would miss us. Don't want snow at all. I know, Rhonda. It's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. You know.
Yeah.
It's some people love it, some people don't. I've been alive. I don't remember ever having a blizzard watch warning. So we haven't. We were close in 2011. Southwest Missouri had one. We did not have it, though. But Berry and McDonald County had a blizzard warning.
You had me in 2011.
Yeah, I know. 2011 was insane. Difference between a stationary front and a occluded front. So Dance Diva stuff, that is where you have a cold front catching up with a warm front. And that's what makes it occluded. So if we go back to this surface map, the warm front extends away from the low, and the cold front, and this is already a tightly wound system. So the warm front would have been like this, and then the cold front wraps around and comes through here. And then you've got the low pressure system up there. So this is not occluded, but what happens is that cold front will catch up with the warm front. That's where it becomes occluded. When you look at it from a side view, it's kind of cool. We don't have time to show that, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's basically such a tightly wound system that the cold front is called up to the warm front.
Can you quickly show rain totals today? I can. I don't think they're going to be super impressive just because whenever you get cold rain, it just takes a lot more moisture to show heavier precipitation totals. So we'll look at that.
0.1, 0.2.
We're going to let that load up. Do you expect schools to be canceled tomorrow? Rural schools, yes. Big 4, probably late start.
Yeah.
Delayed start.
Delayed start. Was that 10 o'clock, right?
I believe it, Tammy. I was driving my son to school as well. So I know David said you picked a good day to come back from vacation. Yeah. I'm trying to let that precipitation load. It's not working, though. Let's see. Let's try forcing it to load. Sometimes it just takes a little while. I haven't looked at that graphic yet. Ah, there you go. So, yeah. I mean, we're talking ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch. We'll bring up some stuff here. This is radar estimate. So about an inch. A little less in Fayetteville, ½ inch. A little more in St. Paul, about 1.5 inches. Colcord picked up a little more, over 2 inches. So that was where those heavier precipitation. However, I think it's a little overestimated because that bright reflectivity shows up as heavier rain, but it's really honestly sleet, which is even less precipitation totals. What would you say? I get off of work at 1 p.m., start at 7 a.m. So you're going to encounter on your drive there precipitation. I think Benton County gets it earlier. So it's all about a timing thing. You think all this rain will turn to ice by the morning? No. In the River Valley, you're going to be fine. You will see some light snow. So much drama in the DGZ. I know what John's talking about. It's got a little Snoop Dogg, little Snoop reference where he's rapping. Not much Tuesday. What about Friday? Snow totals. So Friday could be an issue, but it is going to be just about as warm, right? So another one of those tricky ones. Let's keep going here. Driving from XNA to Fayetteville for a 10 a.m. flight Tuesday morning. Tuesday next week or this week? Yeah. I think you'll be okay. Not super concerned, but just take it slow on the roads. They're probably going to pre-treat too.
Next Tuesday, though.
Woo, we got a lot of comments.
Something.
I can't get to them all because we got a 9 o'clock show and it's coming up very, very soon, like a minute or two, and I'm off the top. But I tell you what we will do. Join us after the 10 o'clock show.
Yeah.
At
hop on
10:30,
again.
we're going to do another forecast for those comments that we didn't get to answer. We'll take a look at them and we'll try to answer them. But that's it for now. We'll see you after the 10 o'clock. Thank you so much for watching. Watch Fox 24 News at 9 for all the latest. I've got more information. We're going to dive into that a little bit more as well. Take care. Thanks for watching. God bless. Have a good one.